8:29.
I can't, it's like I say,
We could.
well,
So how many more you got left to graduate?
None.
That's what I was thinking.
You're done?
Last one.
You're done over it?
Yeah,
Means you're getting.
it's good and bad all at the same time.
Yeah. Sometimes it's, yeah. Can we get started? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'll
call this meeting to order.
I'll make the motion to approve today's agenda, May 23rd, 2023.
Second.
Okay, you got a motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for May 16th.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meetings attended.
I had a quiet week. Knock on wood.
I had community action last week. There's the sample. We had things are going good. Got more money to help out the low income as far as houses, furnaces. State's been pretty good about kicking that up a little bit than where we've been in the past years. Some of the donations are up to help the kids programs. State's kicked that ante up just a little bit too to help with babysitting and watching their kids while they're working. That's a cooperative between workforce and state. So the feds is kind of acknowledged that both family members are out working. So this is make them watch their kids. And then we had a Waffle development meeting. Trying to get something to happen on that infrastructure out there to new housing areas. So received a couple complaints about the booking on conservation, but I think they're okay with the explanation I give them, just to start early and book early, and it's online and just something different that people's normally done. So other than that, that's it.
Southeast Iowa Link had a meeting, had a tumult with combining the two. I'm surprised we didn't have the 20E today to sign here. I was gonna zoom into the meeting and things went to heck in a handbag and I didn't get to. Trying to get her deal up, but it isn't. But we'll be signing the 2080, combining the two deals. And then go on with the state, and then the link board, they only want half as many of us on that board in time. So I think we've got that figured out. I don't think the three that are still on have figured it out, but the bigger counties are gonna be well represented.
Who's they, state or?
We'll take, yes.
State.
I'm working on a new address there, right across your corner. We put a cell tower in right there.
Oh, yeah.
You knew that part?
Yeah, I knew that.
That's about all I had.
Back up a little bit. I did have a Upper Cedar River watershed meeting. I was unable to attend, but you talked to her. So Brian, you want to talk a little bit about that?
I can.
Yeah, would you please?
It's quite a bit of information there. So, so I did attend that meeting just to find out what was going on, because Brad, you had mentioned about the contribution piece for each county or each jurisdiction didn't seem to kind of match. And that was true. And I have some of that here. Well, feel something out there.
It's a suggested donation.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement.
Yeah, and I've learned more about that too. So just to give that to you. What he's on about, this is the ask requirement, you'll notice, I got a couple of facts there to say, even though it's requested, some of the bigger players, Cedar County. Muscatine County, all those guys up north of us, don't pay that necessarily. And then this is our financial piece of that. So this, you can look at those, see, that's what's suggested, and here's what's paid out off our financial report. But there's you can see what they're getting.
This is what they're asking for, and this
Yeah.
is what they're getting.
But look at whatever the one says 7,000, we're requesting to match up to what they're getting. Is quite a bit different, but then. On the third page of this financial report is that it's Muscatine County and Cedar County use some of their ARP money to pay it 10 years in advance. So maybe where Cedar County didn't pay anything, all of a sudden they're catching up. You'll see that some of the counties just aren't paying much at all, if any. And the fiduciary seems to be Johnson County. Love that.
Well,
Johnson County's, yeah.
they can absorb a little better than we can. Muscatine County could too.
That county don't have no land, it's. Has the Cedar River going through it, doesn't it?
The very west edge might be a watershed.
I know that's what I'm talking about there.
We got the wall of the con.
Yeah.
And so, so I went through the 10 of finding out. What do we get for our money? So we're paying 2,500, some of them paying less than us. The contribution request for the soil and water conservation boards is nothing, but they do contribute some, like $500. That's important for them, I think, because all the projects I hear that are going on with the updates were that all the efforts up north to slow the water, actually for water quality. So conservation projects that reduce the nitrates in the soil. And the water is coming down into the watershed. That was the discussion as they went around the table, and everyone talked about their updates, their projects, and what they're doing. That involves farmer participation, soil and water conservation up there. And they work with farmers to do some projects to slow that water, capture that nitrates before it hits the water. And when we got around the table to me, I just said, I appreciate that thought of improving water quality, but I'm more concerned about quantity. They assured me that the slowing of that water would have an effect on the quantity of water. So then we got recognized as being the very bottom. And I did mention that time, we're just a small player in there, not enough much opportunity for us to participate in any of that, what they're describing at north.
Yeah, we're just getting whatever they give us.
But in hindsight, I decided there are a couple of projects, and they did talk about some funding for some farmers and some things where they could help them with some smaller projects, acre, 2 acres, with swales and natural vegetation, so stuff. So the only opportunity I think, from my experience in 2019, would be Fredonia, let's say. In 2019, that water came down through that field, it hit the railroad tracks, and then went through a pipe, and then flooded Fredonia. Well, since then, we've taken some mitigation efforts, the county did, and improved the quality of the water flow through Fredonia with bigger culverts. But still exists is all that farm field up there, and this could happen again. So if soil water conservation or somebody could convince them to participate in the program, if there's an initiative for them, they could turn some of that back into different type of water capture. What would be the term? Irrigation control or what's the green land?
Wetlands, or they
Yeah, there's green capture,
de-level it and make it
swales and different things.
swamps.
But then you're asking a farmer to take that property out of production. So that's a conversation way above my head. There are people that do that kind of stuff. So that would be one project all by itself. But I did notice too at that meeting that Louisa County had representation from the previous meeting for the Louisa County Soil and Water District by Holly Howard. And that name was, I didn't recognize that. Well, it turned out, I think she's from Muscatine County, I think. I don't think she has anything to do with Louisa County. And so we have a new person, brand new person, only 2 weeks into that spot for Louisa County, and her name is Rachel Weiss. Brand new. Anyway, I've been in contact with her. And
She's with NRCS.
RCS, but also soil and water conservation, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm on their agenda, soil and water conservation, just to go talk to them, talking about this kind of stuff, which becomes more important and relevant. This last one, I'll get you to get me on that.
Not to change the subject, but why are we not on this sheet?
Well, I think because we never have participated, maybe. I thought the same thing. I don't think they expect anything out of us.
We haven't contributed?
Yeah, we do contribute.
Well, we're not on that sheet.
We're not on that financial report.
No, I don't think we contribute.
I thought we did.
No.
We started out with,
Maybe not
I
the
think it's
last 5
500.
years.
Well, we did 500 for a while, because
Okay.
Randy used to do the meetings.
All right.
Maybe we don't do it now. I didn't vote to take it off.
I'll do that to you in a minute. I think I give you my own copy.
I don't recall seeing it on the
Remember
The
when Randy first
budget,
got in it? We
that
did.
line item.
We might have 1 year and then Randy went to a few
I do.
meetings and decided it was.
Okay,
Yeah, we're trying to find the value, and I explained to them right there that, because we mentioned about the county contributions, and then they, as a collective, they were talking about that, and I just said, well, I'm here to kind of learn about what is it that we would get benefit out of that, so learning.
when they came down here, did it go on deaf ears about, adding the lower part onto that Cedar River, even though it switches to Iowa? Because it should follow all the way to the Mississippi. Anytime
You
you do a
think.
watershed, you would.
I haven't approached that, I haven't even heard that, and thought about that, but I didn't tell them, it doesn't stop there, I just said.
It should be
It's-
to the mouth of the Mississippi, but,
Yeah.
and I understand the nutrients and nitrates and stuff like that coming down here is very important for our water quality. Also, because it makes up our aquifer, of course, but. I can understand on both ways of water quantity and quality, because if we control all the water shed coming down to our county, we're actually the bathtub of everything coming down here.
Yep.
Of 3 rivers, and
I think
they
if we're
need
not,
to extend that shed.
yeah, if we're not represented, we're just gonna take what they get, and not that they can slow the water anyway, other than projects, so I think I caught on too.
Well,
That's
really, below junction to the Mississippi, every overflow grounds in WRP and the state owns,
State owns a lot of acres.
it's out of our tax base. I mean, we've done about all we can.
I think the extent of their projects too seem to be for the rural people to slow that water and capture the nitrates, but also some of the benefit then to people that pay in. Some of these projects are urban, so where the downtown beautification, whatever it captures, so residents that are there seem to get a benefit of some of those projects. The beautification, and which in turn is conservation and.
Well,
Is there anything on the Cedar River that they can control water height? I mean, you're gonna get what you get anyway. It was Iowa were subject to, of course, Coralville.
I think it
So-
came out at one time, Sean, that it's like 60% of our water flows come from, or more, comes from Cedar. Or high water events is,
Really?
yeah,
Example,
75.
this year during the prediction, the flood spring prediction, and they're contributing all to the snowpack in Minnesota. Iowa had no effect, but the Cedar was affected from the Minnesota snowpack, but Iowa River was not. And that's the annual thing for us.
and it might be higher.
The Cedar runs east of Austin, Minnesota. Iowa
Anyway,
River.
I didn't realize it went that far, I guess.
Yeah, it's, I've always been told. Like 3/5 or 3/4 of the water that goes under the bridge at Oakland was from the Cedar River.
Huh,
Even though we've blamed Coralville and what they did with the dam.
well,
it would be a long-term engagement,
Very
to know
easy
that
to-
number and find that out, and work with Iowa Flood Center and those kind of things, to give us muscle to go back to people like this and say, hey, we're something to
but
consider us more.
even if you donate $2,500, that's not gonna save your skin when it floods, because there's nothing they can do about it.
No, there's no stuff.
So again, I guess we go back to what Brad said. What are we getting out of it?
Well, here's an immediate benefit right here from that meeting, since they have my contact information. So this is, I gave you this email right here, just a couple highlighted spots. This is from a gal, with her address being iowa.edu, and but the Iowa Flood Center has been contacted by the American Flood Coalition as a potential partner on a future grant that will apply to the Walton Foundation, all these kind of things about flood resilience. I highlighted the spots. underserved communities, and the city of Columbus Junction came to mind, there. And so then three categories there. One was that prioritize low-income communities that have already done some level of groundwork to understand the flood resilience need. And so when I thought about that, from 2008, Columbus Junction already has done a lot of mitigation, improved their levees, and they prepared for floods, extended their levees, and they're kind of beefed up. But they do have a risk there of.
But Columbus Junction is not into the Cedar River.
Correct. And so that's why when I replied to that email, I told her, but you should consider Fredonia, which is on the other side of the river.
And it is considered.
It is. And so I think this doesn't matter. They're not talking.
I wish they would consider Columbus Junction.
Yeah, because you're right, the floodwater doesn't stop and it gets high.
But they don't. So
But this opportunity and information had nothing to do with the water, lower Cedar watershed. This happened to be a contact they got from me. This is another whole, they're considered projects across the state, not just lower Cedar. But Fredonia though, they would have, speaking of low income, and that's it. And they too have done some groundwork, or whatever that's called, some level of groundwork to understand bigger pipes, right? And so they still have a need now, because they don't have a lot of city budget. They still have a need now to maintain that, meaning they need the weeds controlled out of that, because it's gonna get clogged up again, those culverts and stuff that the city probably can't afford to do.
So the repairs isn't coming out of their specific budget, they're
Well,
writing grants
The
to
repair
get.
came out of this, yeah, it has
Got
nothing to
it,
do with that.
got it.
But
Okay.
just being involved in that meeting led to
All
this
right.
opportunity.
I get it.
And so I have, just before I came here, just now I got an email, we're gonna have a Zoom meeting between a couple people at Columbus Junction and me. And everybody's invited, I've invited Adam Shutt and City of Fredonia to be in on this, and we'll have a couple more. So she says time's not the essence, but maybe that's a better project, because you'll see the second bullet point there. Flood projects that work with nature, all right? So for Fredonia side, their runoff water goes right through the river, and it goes right along the old county property. You know, all those things that would benefit a nature project to slow that water or manage that water as it leaves Fredonia, which they need help. If we can keep that channel open, the water will flow out of Fredonia a little bit better. And
that culvert was actually, there was no water transitions from the railroad bed from the north or the south, and that was to put with the agreement and I think Adam worked really hard to get that. We had to give up some land on our right of way up on 92, if you remember all that. Close a crossing to get that, where we put a tube underneath the tracks.
I don't think I put the tube under the track though. I don't think that happened.
Yeah, I did, didn't it? Yeah, that was part of the agreement that we did. Yeah,
But we lost a dirt road.
we lost a dirt road crossing.
Yeah.
We had to close that, but we had to put a tube under the tracks, and they did that just right in the middle of the town of Fredonia
Okay,
to get water from the north side
Yeah.
to the south.
Outside.
so now it's important that we maintain.
We have to
packed
maintain
city.
it.
Yeah, because that, it seemed like it's no man's land, and that would overgrown and back up that water. So I'm hoping that a project
You're
like
right.
this can do that. And then lastly, it said, and the funder will also help participants identify other programs that would fund their priority projects. So I was hoping that these people would drive it start to finish.
Good idea.
So I have to be very careful not to get too deep in the weeds here,
Yeah.
because this needs to be city projects, not a Bryan Hall project.
Yeah.
Well, we just gotta remember that the city of Fredonia is pretty much stressed. They're not too far from unincorporated if they have big expenses, so we have to be really delicate in how we help them. Keep them sustained where they can be incorporated.
So I think they qualify for the bullet point lower income.
We also have 3 drainage districts up above there, small ones, gravity ones.
All
Maybe this one.
tracks, right?
What?
It's above the tracks, right?
Yeah, but like the McCulloughs have one, it's on the Iowa River.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Well,
the
they're all on
numbers.
it. I
It's
guess
like
all 3 of
9,
them.
10.
And none of that would matter. I think this is, they're looking at identifying some communities across the state, not just lower Cedar watershed. So, and so to that point is I was already on the conversation with Adam Shutt about the better benefit of the seep water that happens at Mustine County. Right, and he had his ideas, man, if we just had a better pipe from here to here, that would really work better. So I'm thinking, and that's why I included him on this whole thing, that
Yeah,
would be a project too, but you might have to meet that qualification of lower income community.
Well, that's, we
Whatever that,
are,
whatever
that is an area that is in that ballpark, yeah.
yeah, so whatever the qualifiers are of that, Fredonia certainly would fit that, not that the people that are so much low income, even though they may be, but I think collectively as a city.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of tax base, they don't have a lot of income, the city itself.
Yeah.
So that's why, and so then, as part of that, I'm trying to track down who our soil and water conservation is, that's why I learned about Rachel Reese. And got on her agenda, is because there's a lot of things that need to happen here. If this is gonna be in conjunction with nature and stuff like that, our local county people need to be involved with this, and we need to be in step with what their goals are. And then when I called to learn about her, the fellow that gave me a lot of good information said, yeah, because you need to be working with DNR and the Corps of Engineers, you start changing water flow, you just can't do it off of a project. So that's why I'm bringing in the right players. I want to hook everybody up with this concept and then step back and watch it work. Like, I can't manage those grants and all that. That's what the soil and water conservation does. And
They're not being paid to do that anyway.
I don't see
It's out of your,
should be in the middle.
yeah, no,
That's what I know about that meeting.
thank you.
And I'm invited to go back to the next one.
How they have him,
I have to, I think it's monthly.
and where'd you go? for
Every
that?
other month, put up the Tipton.
Yeah, if Sean can't make the next one, I'll go up with you, you just give me a holler.
And so I was easing into, what do we really benefit from this, and then also the disparity of the contribution. I was just being a good listener on that first meeting.
Yeah, because before we even think about it, I think we gotta see that what's the best value for the county. If we only have one city in there, it's very difficult to add us to be a contributor to that.
Oh, I think you can see that some of the people haven't contributed for 3 or 4 years, and then they'll do $500.
Yeah,
Or even whatever one that put in $100,000, Cedar County or whatever that is there. That's a 10-year thing. They didn't do much. They didn't meet their requested allotment at all for 5 years. They got some ARP money. They just did a 10-year advancement.
well, there has to be a value for the county. to
Right,
contribute.
it's just throw money at something just
Yeah.
because they're asking for it.
And that's where I'd like to find out, they came down here and they, we bent their ear about us getting involved in the lower part, adding that. We think it's a value to the Cedar River if they would take it all to the outlet of Mississippi. And they came down here, they had 2 representatives come down here, what was that? Was you on yet, Sean? So it must have been right before, so it had to be last fall, and we asked them if they would think about that, and get back to us. I've never heard anything back.
Well, they mentioned that they've been around there, talked to every board of supervisor on the watershed. And I'm thinking, okay, but then she mentioned for the wise kind of it happened on a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
It was. There was 2 of them.
Mhm.
You're right. It was on Zoom.
There's,
I was thinking they came here, but it was 2 of them on Zoom. Because one had a problem connecting.
the guy was
You're
from
right.
the NRC.
You're right, it was.
So I think for us, the benefit would also be just being connected with knowing what projects are going on up north, attending these meetings. Knowing how the projects are happening, how they're being funded. So for instance, the updates given by the project leaders seem to be from Soil and Water Conservation Boards or USDA,
Yeah.
not from the watershed itself. They're just a conduit for this meeting to happen. So just being engaged and listening and learning has a value as well.
And quality does make a difference to us, since it flows at our banks coming down here, that does make up our aquifers.
It's a good learning.
Sean can't go off, right up with you.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think just engaging with soil and water conservation is important, just to make sure that we're in step. If we're thinking about a project in the county, they need to know and be engaged and involved.
Mhm.
I agree.
And they do too. They
You
do.
know, in the farm world, there's a group like this above Des Moines on the Coon River. And they're more worried about water quality than water volume,
Yeah.
is what I see. And digesters at the end of the tiles and the catching their water off their parking lots and slowly releasing it into the Coon and Des Moines River. I see things about, they spend a lot of money up there trying to make better water for Des Moines.
So that's all I have for the watershed there.
Yeah, good.
I have some other updates, but I'll wait till you get around to it.
Well. We have no payroll changes. We have no Adam here to sign that contract. Yeah. So really, if you would like to continue with your 9:15, we'll let you.
And I'll make short work of that because I do have another training meeting coming up here at 9:30. But so for emergency management, I don't think I gave you an April update, but I won't get into my whole list. But we had a brief tornadoes activity, and went around us, and we were spared by the grace of God. But what I learned, I always try to say, what did I learn from that? I think I always think that we updated our shelter list, but we don't have a lot of sheltering practice. We haven't ever tried to do that or get some these facilities that say they will be a shelter. They don't know what that means. And we've never ran an exercise to say this is what it feels like. So I've been in contact with a couple groups to make that happen coming up. Getting that a little bit. And then we had our brief high water event, just in the spring updates, and what worked well from that, the state was way more involved, and it started with the Governor Reynolds to assist the state of Homeland Security, get more engaged with the river counties. And that worked well because we had meetings every other morning about what's going on, and they want to know, as emergency management coordinator, what are you doing to prepare? So not that I'm going to sit back and watch and wait, but I did get engaged. I did go door to door in Muscatine Bottoms and Oakville Bottoms. I put flyers and my contact information on every single mailbox that would be affected. Did all that part. So that worked well. And the involvement of the National Weather Service was spectacular. Daily briefings every day, and it gave us, and then also piggybacked with the Corps of Engineers, daily updates and charts and maps, which I then put out to all the affected people, Oakville and Muscatine Bottom. Every resident that wanted it, I gave it to them. Similarly, then I've been in contact with, had a conversation with Thousand Valley Regional Planning, specifically Zach James, about the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan, which isn't due for a few years, but the engagement needs to be that we need to apply for the grant to help pay for that, which would be about $30,000 to organize that plan. Submit the notice of interest before you do the work, and then not miss the opportunity. So apply for the grant in the correct season and do it all in steps. So I've pushed him to remind him that we need to get ahead of this sooner than later, and he has. And he gave us a quote for $30,000 that can be wrapped up in the grant. Their cost for administrative can be wrapped up into the grant, and he's going to connect with the state of Iowa, and he knows those people to make that happen. I want to follow up to say, because all of a sudden, if we miss that opportunity, all of a sudden we'll have to come out of the pocket for the county for that, which I'm trying to avoid. And then I've also wrapped up my visits to the city councils. I visited the city of West to talk about the hazard mitigation plan, and then I'll be back. And that led to significant discussions about the railroad merger and the impacts locally there. So we had a good discussion. They're fully aware of what's going on. And then another one is that we had the LEPC meeting, the Local Emergency Planning Commission meeting. It was, our guest speaker was Tony Howdyshow of the Canadian Pacific Railroad, and he gave a great presentation on all the equipment they have staged up, ready for a response, and all the available training from entry level to advanced training that they can offer for free. And so at that meeting, I had probably 5 fire departments represented. And once again, instead of it being me picking the date and the event for training, I've asked the fire departments to get together on their mutual aid meetings and decide on the kind of training and the date, because it kind of needs to come from them, when it works for them, not just for me. And so I've only had one reply back from that. So that's kind of shy. I'll need to follow up to say, let's not miss this opportunity. This is free training. And a big thing about the lower watershed, it's all taken care of. There's other quick stuff. I won't go into a lot of detail. GSAC is our liaison to the state of Iowa Emergency Operations Center during a disaster, and our National Guard liaison. And we have a county representative and the retired National Guard people collectively, the guys and boots on the ground during a disaster that feed information back to the state Emergency Operations Center. So if I just said, we need the National Guard down here, it doesn't work like that. We have to go through our GSAC representative. And during this last high water event, our representative retired or quit. And so I offered to become that guy because I'm retired, or I'm ex-military and all these things. But now we have a new liaison, so that's covered. We have a representative. We've been through the Operation Prom at Columbus Junction. I think that was well received, big hit. good information, lots of participation. I recently met with the Presbyterian Women's Group, because they want to know, what do I do? So I let them have it, and I educated them on emergency management. And from that too, something I worked on before COVID even, I got a list of all the pastors in the county and some outside, Fruitland, Winfield, and a list of pastors to say, if there's something bad happens, I can email you 20 people and you can get a hold of 1,000. And if I'm going to follow up that to say, for community preparedness, I need to get together this group, we're going to call like a coalition. There's already a ministry association that's sparsely attended, but to get these folks together to say, let's get together and say, how can we prepare for a county event? And say, give everybody kind of a quick assignment for capabilities and some things. So the Presbyterian Women was my first meeting to kind of kick that off. Cindy Mears is the treasurer for that association. And so we have a list, she helped me update it, and that's one of my plans for better participation in the county. And the last piece of that is the Louisa Muscatine Disaster Coalition. Similarly, we meet with Muscatine, Louisa County, Muscatine County, Salvation Army, United Way, all these things. We get together and say, when there's a disaster, we're the group that's going to respond afterwards. So during that high water event, the Red Cross and Salvation Army, United Way, we check with David, say, what do you need from us? And so it all works. Those connections do work. That's it for EMA. 911, very simple. We had our meeting on April 18th. We assisted the sheriff's office with the purchase of a new radio for one of their patrol cars, about $18,000. And then we have a request from Waffle Ambulance for a radio, but that was tabled until we can get more information. Next meeting there at 911 will be on July 18th. In Safety World, we had a meeting here on April 12th, right here in this room at 2 p.m. It was well attended by all the department heads, and I invited Paul, our HR representative here, just to discuss from recommendations from IMWCA, our workers' comp folks. Things like the seatbelt policy, which then, once you explore it, is the verbiage they want us to adopt, which I mentioned to you, is already embedded in our safety manual. And our stuff in the safety manual is a little bit more stringent than recommended policy. It's almost word for word. We have a couple of extra things that Paul feels that would be sufficient. But also that we moved over the due process for hiring for things like pre-employment physicals and those kind of things. And it was decided maybe to find a more relevant, or I don't know how to say it, we got better, a better physical application process. And there's a few that provide that, and we've used a couple. And Paul's gonna research that. And similarly though, in the safety manual, a lot of things that we require, a lot of verbiage in the safety manual don't really apply to the sheriff's office, because they have their own kind of a set of rules and requirements by the state. And then we have shops that have a union application, and some things are slightly different there. So Paul's going to review that, but also make sure all this doesn't bounce against or conflict with the Wise County employee manual. There's some conflicting stuff there. So he's going to sort that out, rewrite that, and get back to us. And I would say too, on that my last note on that part of it, as a safety manager, some of that stuff I was getting heavily involved into it with some of this workers' comp processes that I felt like I was getting into an HR function. And maybe over my head as far as like push back to Paul and say, some of this sounds like you, and he kind of agreed. Before the meeting, he agreed that, to be careful, and I'm gonna start running everything past him about that. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Hey, I forgot all my meetings, part of the most important meeting. I had a meeting with Mark Lofton and Taylor Collins last Wednesday down at my shop. We met for about an hour and a half. And we went over several things. I had asked them for help on the transfer station, some to help with the DNR, try to get this to flow before we can work together with the agreement. So they're going to do some and give us some contacts, grant opportunities. I talked to them about with the 61 project, there's always DOT granting, so to help our communities along this. So they give me a contact person to get through that. the levy, I asked them about, trying to get the other communities to pay their share. And they're going to, they give me, a contact person that they go through there that takes care of all the districts as far as taxation, and see what we can do to get a better handle on that, area. What else was there? It was an hour meeting. It was a lot of good conversation and a lot of information that I shared to them, and they kept back on it, but I appreciate them coming down and taking time to meet with me and listen to some of my concerns. I'd like to have everybody else there, but didn't have it formalized to have that, but maybe we can do something with a forum to get them together where we can all bend their ears a little bit, but take
So
that down with me on that.
if the drainage district, specifically the one up north. We have 2/3 of the people not paying tax to that drainage district that benefit from it. If they, whoever they are, decide that those people need to be taxed, does that have to go to a vote?
No, I think it has to be the way I understood it, and that's a great question. I think there's already a tax prepared for that area, but the way that it's worded, it's voluntary.
Well, if you're gonna make it voluntary, they're not gonna pay extra tax.
And that's why there's no
We've got
teeth
a
into it.
lawsuit that's been in the works for quite a few years,
That one,
13.
okay,
Mhm.
so I wasn't aware of that, but
Yeah, because
it
I've
needs
got,
to be looked at again.
Is it still ongoing?
I can't answer that because since
I've heard them
Muscatine,
mention it.
yeah, Muscatine is the control county.
How long can that go on?
Um,
I don't
As
know.
long as the lawyers are getting there.
Keep kicking the can down the road.
I would think there would be a sunset in it sooner or later, but
Yeah,
morning.
Interesting.
So anyway, that, and maybe we can, get a forum together and, cause I think we have enough stuff going on in our county. I think we need to bend our ears, a bit more to do. Maybe we can get something set up for that where we get all three of us.
I think you're right. I think it needs to come from the state house to kind of
Yeah,
lean on some people and say, listen,
we have no,
and we have,
coverage,
no,
but they will.
besides bring a suit against somebody
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
So anything I get, I'll send it to Selena, they get copied out to you guys, but I got 3 numbers. I've called one of the numbers and they're working on the DNR thing for the transfer station, but I want to get the housing grant opportunities and anything that comes around us, I would like to see if we can get something hooked on too, but that was last Wednesday, 1 o'clock, but I'll try to get something set up for that we can have maybe a little thing around after lunch, just a short meeting, like an hour, and I'll try to get something set up. We can get it published.
It always seems like everything's a fight. Why is that?
I think there's so many people fighting for different things, and we gotta do what's important.
Because everybody wants something for nothing.
That is a fact.
Okay, speaking of something to nothing, I've always talked about a law that you gotta pay for the service. And I need to be looking up by code section 384-84.
To be receiving a service that you're not paying
Paying
for.
There was a bill in the Iowa House to say if you're within a levy district or something, you can reduce your payments to the county or whatever, like exempt your drainage fees.
That was the Two Rivers bill.
From
and they got passed.
Did it get signed? I don't know.
I don't know about sign, but it got passed at the last week.
Okay, well, I didn't notice that, but that could potentially hurt, you know, yeah. Yes, you live within a drainage district, it's unfortunate you have to pay those things. But you still have schools to pay for, you still have roads, you still have law enforcement and all that, it's. Yeah. Wanting services for, and not having to pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, we're ready for your update. Al.
Okay.
And it's contract deal.
I have 2 agenda items. One is the construction pay estimate report. That's for the SDBG project that we did, asphalt overlay projects. We we did eight miles, about 6.5 of it went great. A mile and a half of it, and then not so great that they had to do some repair work on it, and it's repaired. It isn't pretty, but it's fixed, so. That's the highway 305 portion, and we got it fixed, but. Anyway, so
This was last year and they came back and did repair immediately after that. So is there another repair they're gonna do?
they did some repairs immediately afterwards. We said it wasn't good enough, so they just waited until the spring to come back and
Okay.
do it. So they basically a fog sealed it, which is spraying out oil when it gets into the.
Because it was really forced what they,
Yeah.
okay, was it? Is that sustainable? Is that gonna be something?
Well, it's sustainable now that they went and placed a bunch of oil on top of it and got all those pores filled in.
Okay.
So. Not super happy, but it got it done.
Wasn't that Pelling that did that or?
No, the. Better part was done by Norris, and then they subcontracted that to Manassas, Eastern Iowa, which is old.
Yeah.
Iowa paving, different rock, different crew, different everything different, and just
Okay.
did not turn out as well, but. Yeah.
What was wrong? Is it bad?
So they when asphalt comes in, it comes into a machine, right? A machine, a hopper machine, and as it goes along, it brings the material in. Well, they kept letting the machine run almost empty, so at the empty, it's just rock. There's more rocks and less asphalt next year. And we told them about it, yeah, we'll fix it. Well, we get done with it, like. You didn't do it right.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we'll come and do this, and we're like, no, you need to do some of this. It's a ceiling, so they came and did it, right, did the everything worked out, but then you get through the winter, you're like, oh crap, there's more of it there than we even noticed about.
This on the east or west end?
This is on 305 between 61 and Letts.
Oh, north and south, okay.
East and west.
East and west.
So,
East and west.
oh, east and west, yeah, 305.
So
Is it in the middle or in the ends?
it's pretty much in the middle of both lanes. So they did it, and frankly, they're all pissed off at us for making them come back. They come back and they did a fog seal, which is a heavier asphalt that they spray in there and roll it out. Like I said, it's not beautiful, but it's done. So
They must have been in and out pretty quick because I never did see them like.
yeah, I mean, it was a deal that we've been talking about it since December, and then they finally came and they got it done in a day. So.
Good.
So anyway,
So you need approval on
yeah,
that?
accept it. I think Chris needs to sign.
I'll make a motion to sign the construction pay estimate report to accept the project completion for the contract.
How much is it?
Well, is it two part on this? Because one of it.
So
Sandy put this on here, what,
It's actually
Shouldn't have
got
been
two
two
parts. There should be
things.
two of them. Yeah, okay,
it's two different things, yeah.
we'll get it.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
I'll do the first one for the completion of that project on 305.
And you're motioning it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
How much is it?
So we have
It's the
already paid it. It's just the accepting of the project.
Oh,
The releases it through.
Of it, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll second that. I'm gonna go look at it, but. Now that you got my curiosity.
Yeah.
We have a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, that was a two-part one.
Yeah, the
that
next
needed to be on
part of
there.
Except the bid that we got 2 weeks
Is
ago.
to. To sign the contract.
Yeah.
With hire for $115,000. So as you guys recall, that's the concrete portion, gonna be done, and the rest will be the auto seal, black.
Your estimate was 125, if I remember right.
Yeah, plus about 80 for the other part of it, so. that'll come later in the summer, so.
And when is Hire gonna be able to?
It'll be fall, early fall, yeah, so, I talked to, Helling, who does most of our seal coating. Once Hire's done, they'll come in and then that cover up the gravel portion.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'll apply a dust control just to kind of keep everything locked in place, so.
Got a motion to accept the contract with Hire Construction for $115,349.10.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, done.
Other things going on, had some construction progress this week, they poured the bridge deck on the W66 bridge. The deal like Wednesday, they're like, hey, or I had Mike, I call them up and said, well, we think maybe we can get it done, so they jumped in and got prepped up and began pouring the deck about 9 yesterday and got done about noon, so it's gotta sit for a week or so. We still have 20 some working days left, which will put us at like June 20th. Approximately, which I told you guys late spring, that's as late as spring as it can be.
First day, summer, 21st.
Yep, so they got the job, this crew has a job in Centerville and there's another one down in Des Moines County, so they're all running around, but. It's got to cure for a week or so, and hopefully in another week or two, they'll be in and pour the rails and the wings and all that kind of stuff, but. Anyway, having some progress there. Other progress, the work in Grandview on the bypass, gravel and base treatment is gonna start. Next Tuesday, that's the plan. And they told me they will be done before the 4th of July, so that's what they told me, that's their plan. You know, it's supposed to be dry, I mean, it could cut loose some rain for the entire month of June too, so.
And that's to widen the road, that's the bid we let out last fall.
Yep, that is to widen it, to put the cement treatment into the earth and then put rock on top of it, which will receive all this.
That's the road going right through the middle of town.
No, that's around. That's the bypass.
The bypass.
Yep.
Okay.
So
The second phase though is to go through Grandview and take care of their main street, right?
that's,
Down the road a ways.
that's down the road.
Okay.
You know, I guess long term, we need to. Yeah, get that going with asphalt. That's very well, so. What's going on? Crews are out ditching and working on Woods Hill, which is the road between Chinkopin down to the fairgrounds. It's had some erosion problems for years. The road gets cut because everybody cuts the corner, so we're getting it back to where it is and having some rock down there and getting that straightened up.
That hill can be challenging too.
Yes, it can be. So doing that, we're also doing some work on south of Golf Course Road on K Avenue. Getting a little bit of rock haul, but. So staying busy.
I got a call from a former supervisor, you're pinching the road up above Thomas Junction, and he's concerned over.
We're going to, we haven't begun it yet, but I heard he grabbed one of my guys and complained about it, that he has never called me about it or anything, so. I think, I haven't specifically looked at his yard, but it would be the same as what we're doing everywhere else, just bringing in a road that's gotten all wide. It's
He's worried you're gonna narrow up the road and then it'll be a bypass when they work on 92 and be dangerous.
It's gonna be dangerous anyway, because of the amount of traffic, but. I don't know, I'll have to take a look at it, I guess, so. From what I've heard, it can be kind of crotchety, so.
Oh.
Why would we narrow the road?
Well, that's,
Kind of.
when we talk about pinching the roads,
Yeah, we're taking a road that should be 26, bumped out to 36. We're pulling it back in. And to do that, we're make sure it's crowned up and it drains right, because a lot of these roads begin like this, over time they do this, well, then you get water out in the shoulders and it potholes and all that, so. Basic gravel road maintenance. I told this story about my uncle being pissed off at me, and then after it worked out good.
Yeah, I told him down here on the river road, there was actually potholes my whole life in areas and it healed them up.
And to be honest, that road has been awesome since we've had it.
I've told him, people complain like when we were doing it, but a year later, they're happy with it.
The lady on the curb, I don't know, the thing is, she came out, she screamed at me as we were destroying the road.
Well, her flowers was part of the ditch too.
Yes, her tiger lilies or whatever they are were very important. Anyway, it's maintenance that we have to do, and it does cause some consternation, but after it's done, the results are good, so.
But I told him.
Yeah, so.
Moina got that 92
Yes.
project.
Yep.
And that came in a lot higher than I thought it was gonna be. It's 23,600,000.
Well, TOT cost index is up 33%, so.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, so, I have no clue when they're gonna start or anything like that. We are still receiving calls up from people about it. Talked to everybody at the DOT who will listen, and once they get mobile, or once they're getting ready to get mobilized, we'll have a pre-construction conference.
Yeah.
Um,
It sounded like they gave them a pretty good sized window.
yeah, so they do not have to start until like next April,
Right.
so. Potentially they could get in and do some work.
They can start right now,
Yeah. You know, it's pretty big project there, so it takes a lot of wheels to get turning and all that. Plus, just like everything else, the contractors and subs and suppliers, and everybody is really busy now, so. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know a lot, I guess. Yep. Went to, I'm construction,
They're up.
Elkader. Even brother.
Yeah, they're up by Minnesota.
Elkader, I think there's everything there, so. All right, well,
So you got for us, thank you.
thanks.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
I didn't realize I didn't shut my computer off, so I'm
Yeah, you're there.
shadowing. I didn't realize I didn't shut it off.
No, another thing needed is Rich Dryer from Camp Feeds will probably be on the agenda next week. He missed out last Friday. Okay, where do we start here? Mark?
Sorry, I missed last Tuesday brain fart, but anyway. I guess the city of Columbus Junction is still interested in trying to take possession of the property on Main Street. I looking for an approval to waive the real estate taxes if we do that. If you agree to do it, what I'll do is get a hold of the city attorney and have him work with whomever to make sure that we're doing it the right way. And
The only thing is, when we was gonna talk about removal, I think we talked a little bit about it last week. If you're gonna resell it, the house the way it is, that you're gonna tear it down.
probably, I was out going in it lately, but just driving by it, I doubt that it's salvageable. And, to be honest with you, if we can sell it.
Yeah.
To somebody reputable and get the money back, we're more than happy to.
Yeah, that was the only question. If you're gonna tear it down, that is different. But that's something we wanted to ask you.
And unfortunately, it's gonna be expensive to tear down.
Well, it's gonna be hard to get to. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but I feel sorry for the guy that's gonna build back on.
I question whether anybody ever got back on.
And to carry every stick of wood to build it.
But, you know, sitting there that way is not gonna do anybody any good. And I would assume the previous owner, you know, if we take it over for real estate taxes, you know, we'll have no recourse against the previous owner, but I'm not sure we have any recourse against the previous owner now.
And we talked about the, yeah. Because he does have a lot of properties. I don't know, is there any, if we ever went back and put liens on other properties to get back taxes, we ever done that?
No,
Can you?
You'd have to talk to Adam. I know like city specials, like delinquent sewer, water, those kinds of things, if someone moves from that property and they still owe delinquent sewer and water, you can assess that to another property that that person owns anywhere in the state of
By
Iowa.
taxes, you can't.
But I don't know, I don't know on property taxes. I don't know that you can do that, but you have to ask Adam. That I've never had anyone do. I doubt that you can do that because the taxes go with that property. Delinquent utilities, a little bit different. I mean, that's like a consumable kind of a thing. I don't know.
Let me run that by him just to see if we can, because he has several other, in other counties also too.
Yeah, as long as it's in the state of Iowa, you can assess a special assessment to another property owned by that person. So, but I don't know
Okay.
property taxes. If
Did
those
we ever talk to him about that? We asked about that, but we never did. We ever follow up with him? If not, I can give him a call and find out.
See, I mean, I can always call him too when I get back to the office.
We just gotta have a different angle because we have so many like trailers and stuff like that. If they own other properties, is there another way that we can go back outside the box to collect taxes?
It really stinks that these people can buy these properties on tax sale for almost nothing.
And walk away.
And without any due diligence whatsoever.
Yeah.
Gobble them up and then find out that, you know, the buildings aren't habitable or they're not rehabitable. And they don't do anything with them for years.
Yeah.
And then they just get away with it. It
Somehow we gotta do something different.
gotta get teeth into this somehow and make them held accountable. I know the Wapello, when I was there, this particular individual, it was a lot of legwork to hold him accountable. But,
And we're still,
now we're dealing with it with a construction dealing with it, the county's dealing with it. I mean, I'd like to see the property get back on the tax roll for everybody's benefit, even if it's an empty lot, at least we're both still getting something.
Yeah.
Cause you're not getting anything right now.
Right. And knowing too what you plan on doing, you're gonna sell probably a lot.
Probably.
Yeah, and then how are you gonna collect back, and, cause you're gonna have more into it landfill cost than you're gonna get out of the lot probably.
Oh, by far. By far.
But, yeah, I think I'm good with taking it off there, but I wanna see if we can assess his other properties.
Try to hold him accountable.
you guys good with that if I check with Adam?
Something.
Yeah, go for it, but I think.
Let me find out on that, I'll let you know, but we're good with,
Okay, and what, and I'm gonna talk with our city attorney too, to see if there's some maneuvering that can be done there.
I mean, it's in our both of our best interests to try to.
But, you know, cause I don't want him to come back and redeem the thing at tax
Right.
sale, we have to start all over.
Yeah.
again.
so if I ask him, I'll ask him too about if we have to tear that, if there's anything that we can go after for the city's part to get their money back, if we can put that assessments also. Let me find out on that through the county, since that we do have.
There's this, the derelict building thing,
thing.
and I've never used it,
Yeah.
Sean, but I don't know.
You would know.
They'll have to come in and take the asbestos abatement first, and then there's a grant that will take the building.
Is that easy to get? Not easy?
Southeast Regional will help you, guide you through all that.
It must be easy.
Does
Yeah,
Does
they
it
just
take
write the
long?
grant. A year, it'll take, I mean, if I remember right, it was like early spring. You found out by the end of the fall if you got it or not. And then, of course, it was a whole nother calendar year by the time you got people there and knocked it down. So 2-year process to get through that,
And they're gonna.
to get the
find
grant,
asbestos.
but you gotta have the property in your name first.
Flooring or something.
You know,
age of the house.
Can't be his property, it has to be your property. But yeah, it's doable. And then they try to do the landfill diversion stuff, you know, and
Okay,
reclaiming.
I got a regional planning meeting Thursday, I think.
It's
Even
there.
If the
It's there.
floor is put in the eighties, they're gonna find asbestos in the goods, so.
That, unfortunately, that grant is not available to a regular citizen. It's only
The cities.
municipalities, yeah. Which
It's worth
is
it.
good, but there's a lot of people. Individuals that may take advantage of that. I know there's several properties in town that. Really need to go away. But it costs so much to knock them down, they just let them sit there.
You can't burn them.
I don't know.
You know, it's
The
not
only way you
on-
can burn them is if you get the asbestos completely removed.
Not on purpose anyway.
But we can still do fires on houses if you have to go through it, make sure it's all safe to burn, so it takes quite a bit
This
sometimes.
was too close to.
Yeah, it's too much liability involved.
And the way it sits on a hill, it'd be a tough for firemen to fight it, so. It's just not a normal hill.
Do you
It's-
want me to get the certificate for next week's board meeting?
Yeah, let me,
Sign?
yeah, won't we start getting that gathered up together, I think, don't you guys?
Yeah,
But let me ask Adam what we have.
Let's help,
But
help us.
but you're willing to assign the certificate over to the
Yeah.
city and
I think.
abate the taxes, but yet you're going to try and collect them on another way. Is that?
I'm just saying,
Try first.
trying to go back outside the box to see if we can go.
Hold them accountable somehow.
Okay, so here's my only question. When I do this assignment, I have to put on the certificate whether there's like, if you're gonna abate the taxes or not. So, I mean, you're gonna abate them as far as collecting them on that parcel, and then you're gonna try and collect them a different way. Is that the way I'm understanding? I just wanna make sure. So-
We'll see if there's another avenue to recourse on anything we have, that we can go back to another
Okay.
property, because it's, Sean's right, it seems like we have investors come in, pay the taxes. They take all the milk out of the cow, and then they don't feed the cow.
And I feel the same way about buildings on leased land, because they can't go to tax sale, and we've tried numerous times to do small claims on people, and I have yet to see any of them pay.
They keep doing it.
And they don't pay them. We have some of them that have 10, 12 years of taxes owing on buildings on leased land.
Yeah.
And then those cabins disappear and they never paid those taxes, and then there's not even a cabin there to go back to.
Kind of like a trailer.
It's another.
It's gone. And so I have that list that I sent to all of you guys, and I went through that list. Took me a while, and put the dollar amounts that are owing to each one and where they are. So I have that I can scan in and send to you too. That way you have.
Good.
An idea of where they are and how much you're going on them and that kind of thing.
There might not be anything out there, but at least ask the question.
Yeah.
And I wanna find a way to go out to the mobile home parks too, because the assessor's office does not go to those to check. And we had another run-in with Mr.
Okay.
And he brought me in a nasty little thing that told me which ones were junked and which ones weren't there, and
They got it down to a science. And I don't,
know how I can.
we gotta close that loophole somehow.
Because I can't go out, I can't go on the property, so I can't go out and see which mobile homes are there. You know, I can drive by, and if there's one sitting in that lot, I can say, okay, there's a mobile home there and it's blue, and that's what I show on my system, but I don't know if the blue one I have and the blue one that are sitting there are the same one.
You can send me a list, I've done it for you before, and I'll drive out there and tell you if there's a trailer there or
You
not.
know, so that's where my,
Yeah, but to really check it, you gotta either crawl under it or look.
to verify the VIN. To verify the VIN, because we have, on our system, we show 3 on the same lot in some terms, because we have to take their word for which lot it sits
I
in.
don't assume the VIN would be up by the tongue somewhere.
It's on the tongue, it's in the frame of the furnace room, and in the kitchen cabinets is where.
I wonder if
We
we
talked
can
about-
hire somebody to go out and get these bins. I think it's to our advantage to have that bin number.
The park holder is supposed to give us
Mm-hmm.
those things on their report. It's supposed to be who moves in and who moves out, and what homes come in and come out, and where they sit. And that would include the VIN number, but they argue that. So. And I can pick my arguments, and with some, it's not.
Make a copy of that, and we'll write a nice polite letter. If he has a problem with it, he can come and sit in this chair and argue it.
Because it's in the code that says they have to
Okay.
provide that yearly.
Could you provide us with that, and then we can get Adam's?
You should.
Yep, get an official letter from Adam and get it to him.
Because we send the letter out We try to do it
Maybe
every
we just
year.
need to step it up a little bit.
If somebody else has more, I'm all for it.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say it's gonna make a big difference, but then we can go to a different recourse. that way.
Okay, so I'll get.
Well, then are you willing to do that to all the other trailer courts?
Yep,
Oh,
sure.
heavens,
Just-
yeah. I want them all because the Louisa Works has
Yeah.
tons and,
Or let's just get the,
I still have some that say they sit in the morning sun and there is no.
there's only 3 in that whole
I think
park.
Wapello has a couple too that
Yeah,
we were arguing about at the time.
and out here, Benitez.
Yeah.
Every mobile home in that park has a tax sale certificate on it. He's delinquent on everyone.
Everyone,
There can't be more than 10 in that park and he's got 10 mobile homes. And all of them are delinquent.
Yeah.
And all of them
Yeah.
are have tax sales.
Wow.
So,
At one time Crump had that all clean.
yeah, so I mean, it's slowly.
Don't
getting
take too
worse
long,
and
does
worse. So,
do they know they have to pay taxes?
yes, they get statements, they get
But who's
notices.
getting the statement?
Well, it goes to the Benitez because,
See, does the people that buy the trailer know that they had to
but
pay?
they don't own the trailers out there.
I thought they had to.
Not necessarily,
I
see,
thought-
he owns all of those mobile homes.
He'll argue that when we were in the council chambers stuff.
Well,
He says, oh, I only own 2 or 3 of them, that the other people own them.
I can give you a list of the mobile homes he owns. I can't prove that that's
Why
the
would
ones
you
that
do
sit
that?
on them.
It's a business. It just
I
don't make
don't,
sense.
I don't know, but he has 10 or 12 in his name.
And every one of them.
I'll talk to Mike about that
Benitez,
too.
yeah. So, and I don't,
They-
and I
they
can't
fight
prove
real
what
hard.
ones that are there,
I'll go
but
fight real hard about that one. There's a burr under their saddle for that one out there.
well, and I can give you a list of all of
He's been to
his.
court several times about it, and there's still courts. on him.
Okay.
No problem. I'll get your certificate ready though, and we'll have it for you for next week. I'll give it to Selena and then she can get that signed. You can mail that to you then? Mail that to the city? The
Yeah.
certificate? Okay.
We don't need to have Mark here next week.
Hmm,
Do we? Okay.
just something.
I can just mail it to him. If you bring it back from the board, I'll mail it to him and.
Okay.
No, there's 2 pieces there.
2 pieces.
There's 2 parcels.
Yeah, I'll have to look because I did only one of them.
There's 2 on that.
There's one across the aisle,
Oh,
not directly behind it, but
up on the elevation.
yeah, to this.
Is that where the garages were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one I have.
I kind of forgot
But I
about
don't
it.
see,
I got the ones.
That's weird how that's set up.
this is only lot.
Somebody may have bought the lot later down the road where the alley's way. They may have,
Because this is just.
at the open hindsight, it's like, oh, that's open, I'll buy that lot for your garage.
Yeah, but that would be where your garage would be, because you couldn't put one down.
Yeah, there is a garage on it,
Okay.
but it's across the alley and I think it's one parcel.
That might be marketable.
South.
You might be able to put that on the open
I
market
had somebody express it.
and say, hey, there you go.
There's not gonna be a lot of demand for it, but.
No,
at
but
least-
people living in that area.
Yeah, at least it gets.
People on
it out.
top of the hill.
Yeah, right,
At least it gets it out of our.
right, and you collect taxes.
But I have to look at that because that's not
Yeah.
part of this tax sale.
I was thinking that it was,
Where's this other lot?
let's see, I get here's Main Street, so it goes like this. Here's my house. This one,
That empty lot there.
Okay, what's the number? You read that? I can remember.
if you got better eyes than I've got.
No, if I say that. Let me look and see who has the certificate on that.
Okay.
Because I don't think that's on this list of. It's not on this.
There's the bodies.
Hmm.
There-
Okay.
There's no garage on it.
Yeah, it is right there.
Okay,
It's
matches.
got a real gray, light gray.
Okay, the roof matches the,
Yeah, you just bear it to the garage.
right there.
Yeah.
You're good? So that's good. But that one could be.
That one probably got a little bit of value to it, or at least somebody could use it. And to be honest with you, where the house is, you could probably, you know, if the neighbors wanted to split it or something, that would be about, you know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The county doesn't hold that one, but I can see who does. because I think that one does have a certificate against it, because I think there was a lady in yesterday that asked about this.
I think probably the neighbor,
And
because I think she called us.
and she talked to Katie in the auditor's office. Katie brought her to my office and I gave her some information. I gave her the certificate holder's name. Because if it's the same parcel, and I believe it is, I gave her the certificate holder's contact information, because she can get that certificate assigned straight over to her.
Yeah.
It does cost $100 assignment fee and whatever fee they charge, but then she could start proceedings to get a deed to it
Yeah.
as well. So, that may be the situation. I'll check and see.
Well, if somebody else has it, I mean, as an investment or whatever, that's fine. We don't need it, but I just didn't want
No,
it to be in
absolutely.
your name
And I don't think the county has that one, but I'll double check it. And if it does, I'll let you know.
okay.
Yeah, but it does not show on my outstanding taxer list that I've got here, so. But that- Is there a copier here, Selena? I've got the list of all those outstanding county tax sales and the dollar amounts. If we want to make a copy of it.
That, do you have an extra?
Well, you can print a copy of this. That's why I have the copies.
Before.
Because this is where I wrote the dollar amount. Where
Yeah.
it's at. So if you want to take this, make copies of that for them and get it. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah, right there. That's my old one. That's, it's okay.
You should know how to run it.
I do. You want me to do it? It's old Bessie, I remember.
And it's
Worked really good.
a lot of money, so just so you're thinking a
There
nuisance
we go.
violation, you'll have to back taxes and stuff. Okay.
That's something that I would get from that.
No, it's none of my business, but another one would be the Marvin Bates property. I don't know whether it would be. I think governments, and obviously that's out of the county. Could maybe get grants to clean that up, they try to sell that, but.
There's still quite a bit of stuff out there.
We can get like an evergreen grant and clean it up.
Are
It's been proposed.
Are they behind on their taxes?
I don't think so.
Both of them are dead.
I can double check, but I think Mardell,
To date.
I think the son's name's Mardell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been keeping, I think, the taxes up. I think, I'll double check it.
It's a matter of cleaning it up.
And-
Yeah,
And I think people have looked into cleaning it up. It's the price of the property, where, I mean, it's the value of the property. And I think because of Title 19, I think because of Title 19, see, I think there's a lien on it. To the state of Iowa.
Kind of stinks though, it ruined all the time, effort and the money to clean up somebody else's property so they can sell it for a profit.
no, and we would.
No, you would end up with. I
That's
think,
all.
I think it would have to be, I assume.
But is that government's job is to,
Yeah, not really, but.
Yeah, I have a problem taking stuff away from people. This is America.
well, we'd have to buy it. But we can get the grant to clean it up where a private individual can't.
And that's right. Kind of like the dairy.
Well, but
Because their list is just getting bigger.
then we
Doing.
want to sell it.
Yeah.
For what we got in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why.
I'll have her-
I don't know how that grant.
I'm getting
many acres there, and yeah.
I think it's a short 40.
It
Yeah,
was back probably clear to the cemetery then?
no,
That's not quite, but almost.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, I didn't think there was that much land there.
And then it goes east up to kind of the power plant in there.
that lift station.
Yeah, substation.
And all the way back to the road probably, to the.
All the county dag or.
Give a list of all the mobile homes.
Wow.
And he'll all start going through and start going after that. for back
The
taxes.
building on these lands?
Yeah,
Or- Okay.
and he said he'll go after him,
I
and
think
he
you
said he'll
called
do
a copy
that.
of that a year ago.
And he said on the, yeah, and he said on the taxes, as far as the city, go after them on nuisance. And Waffle did it, and they collected 5,000 twice, different ones, see that way the city can get their money back on it. He said, have it go after a nuisance violation. He said, you can go after back taxes, and that way it'll be a revenue back to you guys.
Do that if it's in our name.
Thank you.
I can't do it at that point. He said they have to do it prior to putting it in your name. But it slows things down, but that's the way we can get it back, go after nuisance.
So
He
the
said-
year, I'm sorry.
No,
The
this
year
is
that you have here, that was the last year he paid,
What?
2017 for Benitez?
Probably. He has some that are very delinquent.
Unbelievable.
And the dollar amount on the right hand side, that's as of right now, that'll go up again in the first of June, but that gives you right now a heart attack. And I think there's one on that list that is in bankruptcy. I did write that on there. That one we can't do anything with, but
There's another JNS, see it? About 2/3 of the way
He
down.
said, get that list to him, and he said that.
They can do.
I'll get that when I go back, because I gotta get you guys to go to section for the letter too. For the parks, and I'll get him the.
Because that might help us if we have Paul start working on that to go back and collect and send a letter.
Does he just want the buildings on leased land, or does he want like the mobile homes in a park?
Once you send him everything you got and let him determine off that, but he's gonna go after they, let them in the office, and then when they got time, they'll start going after that.
Okay.
They get that,
Okay,
so that's good, that we have somebody that's gonna be working on that, but
okay,
do you wanna do that under nuisance on the city, have your city attorney look at that?
I'll have to ask.
Because there could be a benefit, because your guys, the majority of the taxes is for the city and the school.
Yeah.
It comes off that. So he said there might be a benefit to help recoup if you can get that collected. He said it's worked real well for Wapple and some other towns that's done that, or they go under the nuisance. And he says there's some teeth to it.
Yeah, you see him, yeah,
But JNS, that's,
Second page.
yeah.
yeah, that bothers me that every building that's out there.
This is all awful.
you've been looking here, and I think all of his.
Does he do the land?
Mhm.
Is he paying taxes on his land?
I don't see the land listed here, so it's your mobile home, so I'll look. I'll look and see if he's paying on the land, I don't know. The land probably. I think I can look. I'm looking at the list to see. I'm not seeing the land listed there on mobile home, so.
No, I think it's big. $25,000-$30,000 to tear that house down.
Oh,
Yeah.
much hard trying to get to it.
Is that 81,000, right? Correct.
What, at the end of this? Oh, there is one in, Morning Sun. Yeah, on Morning Sun that they tore a building down and everything, and they have a special against it, and it is, yes. That is
And what's a special assessment?
for the tearing down the building, it's
So they did not,
the city,
wow,
the city tore it down.
does that property owner own other properties?
I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know.
81,000 is quite a bit.
That's a lot of money, and for what that lot is. You know, it's just, it's a little tiny strip. It's not
You guys
much.
do that?
I looked at this, I know this list makes me.
That's
but
that brick building they tore down winter before
on the
last.
corner, yeah, and they certified that to the taxes and as a special assessment. And he did not come back and ask to have it spread out. You certify that to them, and they have so long to come back and say, hey, it's over this dollar amount, I want to have that special spread out over 10 years. Because they can do it over 10 years, but he didn't do that, so then it stayed as one lump sum. And
That,
there it is.
we'll give that list to Adam also too, so maybe we can get that.
Yeah, no, I'll get that printed back when I get back, and I'll get that code section sent to you too. So,
Mark, you good with looking at the nuisance, maybe talk to the city, who's your city attorney now?
Jay.
Oh, Jay is, okay.
Yeah, and I wonder about before we pass that.
So let's table this for a week or two.
Yeah, let me do a little, if I know you guys are willing,
We're willing.
okay, then we'll try to proceed and then I'll have Jay tell me when.
I'll wait till you guys tell me you want to do the assignment, and then I'll give the certificate to.
Because the schools and you guys will benefit off of it, that's paid back, so. And
Because if
we,
we do the assignment, you only have 90 days to do your 90-day right redemption. That's not a long time to collect that if you do go after it, so.
You wanna table it till,
I'll make a motion that we table it till we hear back from our,
Okay. Sounds good.
that's our motion.
Got a motion a second, all in favor? Aye.
So, sounds good. We'll just keep
Working.
working. Yeah, we'll just have to keep working at it.
That. Should we adjourn our meeting real quick?
I'm good with
Before
it.
we do that, do you have any update on the auditor replacement? You were gonna talk with Adam on that also, I think.
Did you talk to him about that when you talked to him?
Well, we have until,
I just had him on the phone.
So you were gonna do it next week.
right, we have until the end of this week for people to show up with a,
the 24th,
okay, the 24th, so.
the Wednesday to petition an election. And
So we-
then if they appoint on the 30th. Katie did tell me that. Are 14 days after the appointment that somebody can still petition an election. a
Can we
special
do it?
election.
Can the supervisors do it?
I don't believe what petition,
No, to have because what we use is, I was thinking about that the other day, if they did do election, we could take it out of I don't know this for a fact, I haven't talked to Adam, but I would say, why can't we take it out of the salary? Of the auditor salary that we had budgeted to pay for the election.
that I would have
Can we do
to,
anything different?
I think by code, Katie told me the county has to pay for the special election.
But can we take it out of the wages that the county had?
I cannot answer.
I can't answer that.
That's what it should have come from. But
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you had mentioned last week about the political party.
We have until the 24th for the Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, and they have to come
Republicans,
to the auditor's office to petition, and whoever they want on to petition, there has to be 356 signatures. And as far as this morning, nobody had brought anything in.
So is that the same with an individual then? The individual wants to be presented just as an appointment? They would still need those,
Signatures, no.
so it's just the political parties if they want to, is that what you're saying?
Well, if the Democrat or Republican Party have someone they want. Or to be on the ballot. That person that they want would have to come up with 356 signatures
Okay, that's if there's an election,
if there's an
But it-
election.
but if the board just makes a
Appoints.
simple appointment, they don't need those signatures for that.
Correct, no, they do not.
So has anybody stopped in that to?
No, not as of this morning, no.
So again, I guess I'm not sure what you guys are gonna do on the 30th then.
I'd be curious to know too, if you don't appoint someone, Sandy retires, then I have to take over running that office
Right.
until you get somebody in.
Right.
Be honest,
They
I'm
do
not
not-
excited about having two offices.
I thought we were appointing-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well,
I
my thing is, if we don't hear nothing by Wednesday,
It's on the agenda for May
So we're- I
30th
would
to
appoint her.
wait.
Right. That's why I'm wondering where the status is here, because it hasn't been discussed by the board here.
And
What you're going
nothing,
to do.
if something was brought into the auditor's office, we would have
here's
to.
chapter 13 on vacancies, if you want to read all about it, Jim.
Well, I want to know, I just want to know, because you guys haven't talked about it, so I'm assuming you haven't made.
Well,
any
it's
decision.
been in the paper, and to let the public know that they have until the 24th to petition a special election.
Yeah,
And
I
they
guess I'm
have to
not
come
worried
in.
about the petition part, because
Yeah.
that part is was in the paper.
But
Right,
then the next
but-
step, if we don't hear anything, then we put it on the agenda for the 30th for the appointment. And whoever they appoint would do the oath of office
So that's where I'm confused, because I know,
On the 30th.
on the 30th.
right, there's where I'm confused, because it does say in the paper that there's going to be an appointment made on the
Mhm.
30th.
Yes,
And that's where I'm unsure what the board is doing, because there has been no discussion yet about what you're going to do on the 30th. Are you going to, I mean, it
it
Because we
was,
won't have. Apparently, there are no names yet, and so this is the first time I heard that Vicky's office or Vicky takes over.
If we don't appoint it.
It's in the code that if there's a vacancy in the auditor's office, the treasurer has to run that office until the vacancy is filled, and vice versa. If something happens, God forbid, to me, then the auditor's office would have to take over running my office. So that's in the code.
Okay, so that would be, if nobody has stepped forward and no name is presented on the 30th, then that's what, and there's no petition, then that's the
Right.
fallback position.
Right, and then we can appoint her, and then they got 14 more days to come forward again with another petition,
Yeah.
is the process.
And the second question.
And then if
Supervisors.
someone comes forward, when people have asked for election, we'll have an election.
Are you asking who we think we're gonna appoint? Is
No,
that
I'm
what
just
you're
wondering,
trying to-
since you hadn't discussed it yet in this meeting, what your guys' position was. going to
As
be.
far as I'm concerned, she's next in charge. She's second in charge.
But that's not what I'm hearing now, though. If it comes.
If
to
we
the-
don't appoint her,
Right, okay,
then it falls to
Right.
Then it
to
falls
their
over,
department.
okay.
But she's next in line, so. That would be, I guess, where I'm looking at who we would appoint until the election.
She's the most trained person in the
Right.
family. Who else could do it better?
I know nothing about running their office, so. She'd have to be telling me what to do, so.
Yeah. That seems to be the logical step at this point, from in my eyes. Yes, sir.
What is the appointment until the next regular election?
24.
Or is there a temporary?
It fulfills,
If what happens if it doesn't work out? They're just there?
well, I guess technically anybody could be relieved. For derelict of duty or whatever. I don't think that would happen,
No,
but,
it'd probably take like a,
or if they got sick and
Well,
left or
by
died.
taking the oath of office, it's stepping into Sandy's,
Yeah, you're fulfilling her
fulfilling her,
elected
Elected
duties to the,
duties.
till the next election.
Correct.
If she died, then yeah, I guess we'd have to point or go start that process over again, right? Whoever that person is, I don't know.
but you're saying if. Like a new employee, it's got the 90 days, if they don't work out, you wave goodbye, well. I guess.
It would be the same thing, it'd fall back on their department then,
It'd fall back on.
on the treasurer.
But once you make an appointment, that person in effect is in that position.
Unless they
She'll be
they're-
the auditor for the next year.
die or something
Yeah,
weird
there's a
happens.
Specific cause.
Right.
Specific things in the code that you have to do or not do to be
I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen,
rejected, yes. for your
embezzlement
position.
or whatever, yeah, I don't
But
know.
you couldn't a month later say, oh, we made a mistake, we're gonna withdraw that.
No,
appointment
because
now."
technically she's an elected, not elected, but
But
she's fulfilling that
Well, she has to
term.
act like an elected official.
I think once she takes that oath of office, it's the same as if she would have been
Right.
elected to that position, so then.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question, Jim?
Yeah,
Yeah,
This is
okay.
Vicky, I mean, I like to see,
I think that's where we're at, unless I'm wrong, correct me.
I like seeing. The taxpayers make as many decisions as they can, but in this case,
We got
for a year and a half, and who's
Yeah.
more qualified?
14 months, 16 months. It was the same thing that happened with Wapello. I hated to see him go through in a special election just for, you know, 6 months, but they made that decision and
Yeah,
it ended up exactly the same way it was gonna be before, but the voters had the opportunity to voice their opinion, and I
Yeah.
certainly have no problem with that. It just seems kind of sometimes of a waste
it's
of
a lot of
money.
money.
If it was 4 years, it'd be different, but when you're talking
Right.
a matter of a handful of months, it
Yeah.
just,
Put that out
wow,
for 30 days and then they can choose.
it seems like a waste.
For both parties.
But
Years ago, the same office though, we wouldn't appoint and made the department head serve out her term.
Is that when Sylvia left, she did midterm, did she?
She wanted to.
One or two?
But since they wouldn't appoint, she stayed to the end of her term, and then they had the election.
And nobody can.
so she stayed an extra 2 years.
I don't remember how long it
I
was.
think it was just another 6 months.
Yeah, another 6 months.
Say, I couldn't remember how long. it was.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
One very long.
But that was kind of frosty, huh?
Oh, yeah. But I know with Sandy, there is no, she's leaving, that's it. So so we gotta appoint. We're having an election,
Please.
little different circumstances.
Did we see our meeting? No.
No.
Okay, I thought
Brad's-
we were at the one meeting, yeah.
Talking to Adam, I think. It's a good question. Did he make a motion to adjourn?
I
Oh,
believe he's on the phone.
I didn't know if he had made a motion, though. No?
I don't think so.
He's asking
Yeah.
more questions about the
Tax.
20.
I got a question for Vicky.
Okay,
You got these little codes on the side, 9WWFU.
that's the district.
Okay. So can you give me a cheat on this? I'm
Well,
assuming that's Wapello because that's where these are at.
this is Wapello Township, so these would be out in Woodland. These are in the town of Oakville. These are in the town of Wapello. Wapello, this is Fort Louisa.
Louisa.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wapello Township.
Flemish
Flemish
Junction.
Fort Louisa. This
Okay.
morning, so-
Okay.
And I can give you,
No, I can kind of follow along.
okay, if you want a copy of those, let me know.
I can type in the parcels and it'll pop it up.
Yeah, but I can get you a list, because our system has a list of those too.
Her auditors thing, that's the first thing. We can do a temporary appointment to go to November. And then there'd be a special election and the supervisors could do that. And then elected election will put somebody in there for the remain of the. To get it back onto the same side.
Same cycle.
And that will come out of the auditor's budget. Okay. So it won't be, because we can choose where the money's coming from, but he said that
Well, it's still county money, so.
still county money, but it comes out.
Yeah, I
It's
understand.
money that was already absorbed in
I understand.
for some. So. Got that answered.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Good move to approve, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Mark.
coming down.
And then Mark will just get a hold of him.
Yeah.
Talk to Mike about Benitez.
You what?
I'm gonna go talk to Mike about, Mike Dalzell about
I'll
Benitez.
get,
Better than what we had.
because I don't like sending it, we have a discussion.
Too many of them out there not.
Well, hopefully,
They're pretty active about going after, so.
Maybe something.
well, we did,
And-
the
and-
county
and then
attorney's
maybe
gonna
it's like,
pick the
I
low
said,
hanging, look
but I
for
don't know that it-
easy.
Because if it works, I would be.
But if he-
willing to get more out.
Get half of them, maybe something.